Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX India A-List. In our endeavour to bring forth the stories of some of India's finest and brightest, today we have put together yet another unmissable lineup of India's who's who. Our first guest for the day is prolific actor Konkona Sen Sharma. Known for her versatile work in Hindi and Bengali films, she has recently starred in Mumbai Diaries 2611, which is streaming on Amazon Prime. Let's listen in.
Best known for versatile acting.
The show is it's an unusual setting because really, I would say it's a medical drama, rather a medical thriller.
She has recently starred in Mumbai Diaries 2611.
The films which have been closest to me, though I think are films which not a lot of people have seen, like 15 Park Avenue, for me was a game changer personally, but I don't know that many people have seen it.
NewsX India A-List proudly recognizes Konkona Sen Sharma for excellence in acting.
Hello, welcome. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. You're joining us on this special interview as part of our NewsX A-List series. We're in conversation today with an actor who, of course, needs no introduction. She's starring in Amazon Prime's new web series, Mumbai Diaries 2611. Yes, I'm talking about Konkona Sen Sharma. She's live with us today on NewsX A-List. Welcome, Konkona, to our broadcast. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks, Uday. Thank you so much.
Well, great to see you back again, of course, through this virtual medium, and also for a very special show, which I think about an event which, of course, shook the entire country and, in fact, the entire world. So tell us a bit about your role, Konkona, and what attracted you to this project.
So in this, my role here is that I'm playing Chitra Das. She's the social services director of this government hospital in Mumbai. She's not a doctor, but she's from a medical background. The show is it's an unusual setting because really, I would say it's a medical drama, rather a medical thriller, because this is set in this government hospital, Bombay General Hospital, with the backdrop of 2611, which has been fictionalized. But really, from the first time, we're seeing it from the point of view of the doctors. So it's really the personal lives of the doctors, the challenges of working in a government hospital, and set against the unprecedented events of 2611, where nobody's really prepared or nobody's ever trained to deal with these kind of circumstances. Yeah. For me, when I read the script, I found it very unusual. I've never played a doctor. I've not really seen even a medical drama like this. And I think today, after COVID, we all have a newfound appreciation for our frontline workers and the difficulties that they go through. Mm-hmm. So for us, it's an homage to the frontline workers.
Yes, it is, of course, your team's tribute to the frontline workers. And you believe that this was important as well, because, we've often talked about the role, of course, of the security forces, but we often forget, the other frontline workers who also were instrumental, of course, in attacks like 2611, but in many other warlike situations as well. So do you believe that's important, to tell this story, of course, through their point of view? It is, of course, an entertaining project at the end of the day, but also sends out a message.
Yes, of course. No, I do think it's very important. I mean, despite the fact that it may be entertaining or, binge-worthy or, hopefully, or, the fact that it's a thriller, yeah. I think it's an unusual kind of a setting, as I said, and it is very important to remember this. And particularly, I think in a post-COVID, or at least in the, now that we've all been through the pandemic, and we've even seen how doctors have suffered. There have been attacks on doctors. They often have to deal with a lot of very difficult circumstances, where the shortage of PPE kits or, especially working in a government hospital where the situation is not always ideal and we have a shortage of beds or equipment, supplies, etc. We sometimes forget, that doctors are not gods. And for them to perform, they need the infrastructure, they need the support also of, everybody around them. They have their own personal issues that they're dealing with. Plus, they have to deal with these kind of things. So I think that this is very relevant, particularly today.
Yes. Just speaking, of course, about 2611 now, do you remember where you were, at that point when Mumbai was attacked? Where were you? What were you up to those 3 days?
I was actually not in Mumbai. We had driven outside of Mumbai and we got the news slowly. The news was trickling in. It was very shocking. And, I think what happened is initially we also didn't have a handle on exactly what was going on because there were, events in multiple locations. It went on over 3 days. We also didn't know how it's going to unfold. It was not a contained one-off incident. It was a very insecure and frightening time. It was very confusing. Is it safe for us in our group whether we should drive back to Mumbai? What we should do. So that took us some time. Then when we came back, it was a time of, we were all in shock and disbelief. And everybody, whether somebody on the street or, a neighbor in the elevator, it was very shocking. And I think that there was a sense of this very uneasy kind of stillness that was over the whole city, a very heavy silence that something, like this could have happened in Mumbai. And we never know when something would happen again. That was the fear.
True. Yes. No, it was, of course, as I said, an event which shook all of us. And I'm glad you're telling this tale. Of course, the team is telling this tale so we can relook at it from a completely different perspective. We're just talking about the pandemic now, Konkona, as you were mentioning earlier. We have this, renewed respect for doctors and, of course, also, the kind of work that they've put in through this pandemic. How has it really been like for you, the last year and a half? You're obviously used to, very busy life, traveling a lot for your shoots. So how was it for you, the first lockdown, the second, and the months that have followed?
Last year, I think we were all, I don't know, more full of hope because I think we all felt that next year by this time, everything will be okay again.
Yeah.
So there was a sense of, I think, despair when the second lockdown started. We did get a brief respite in between. We all did a little bit of work. We thought things would get back to normal and the second wave hit us like, nobody could have imagined, the way it played out. And now we are all living in fear of a third wave as and when. Luckily now, I'm double vaccinated and hopefully that is something that everybody will be vaccinated sooner rather than later. There were good things and bad things there. I think that, we all got to spend a lot of time at home and with the family. I adopted a dog last year. I spent a lot of time with my son who's doing online school now. I learned to be more self-sufficient. I learned how to parallel park. These kind of small things were there.
Yeah.
Of course, I think I had it better than many other people. Yeah. Even though there were people in my family who have had COVID, we are all touch wood out of it. We're all okay. There are many people who had it much worse. There's a lot of gratitude as well, that there's some people who cannot afford to sit at home. They have to go to work. So it is a very difficult time and there is a newfound appreciation for that we already have so much.
Yes.
And I don't know how it's going to be going forward. The ground realities are shifting every day. It is something we have to reassess constantly every few weeks and, then figure out what is the safest way to go forward for everybody. What is the most responsible way?
True.
And I think, vaccinations and masking and sanitizing, etc. These are the most important things.
Yeah, that is the way forward, no doubt for now. But just looking forward for the industry as well. Now, you have done a lot of work recently on OTT, which has also really been appreciated. Now, of course, we are seeing again with things slightly better in certain states in the country, a reopening of cinemas and, of course, releases as well on the big screen once again. But how do you see the OTT medium also going forward? Do you believe there's going to be this balance of content for both, or do you believe again once the big screen opens its doors, there's going to be again priority given to the big screen, the theatrical experience, or do you believe this balance now will be maintained after this last year and a half OTT boom?
I don't know, it's hard to say what life will be like, because I don't think we'll ever really go back to how it used to be.
Yeah,
I don't think so. I think that thanks to COVID, we've all really turned to OTTs and the OTTs have provided us with a lot of diverse content. There have been many good things about it. We've gotten to see, many different kinds of actors, really shine. A lot of actors who may not have gotten their due in mainstream Hindi cinema. I personally, I've watched a lot more regional cinema than I normally would have. We've all gotten used to different kinds of formats, the anthologies, which are so popular now, short films, documentaries, mini-series or season after season of your favorite show. And along with the diversity in content, in format, we've also seen some diversity in content where, you don't really have to follow the the format of mainstream cinema as much. I hope it continues.
Yeah.
A lot of it will depend on audiences as well. I mean, of course, I am myself looking forward to seeing films in the theater.
Yeah.
But I mean, thank God for the OTTs. I just hope the OTTs will continue to present us with content. What was fantastic about OTTs before was that there was no censorship.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, we don't have that. So, I mean, that's one thing to contend with. I don't think there should be censorship of any kind. I mean, we are all voting for our leaders. We can decide what we want to watch. And if somebody doesn't like something, we don't have to watch it.
True. Okay, last couple of questions for you before we let you go. One, I think a question that a lot of your fans must be asking you as well. Will we see you back in the director's chair anytime soon or in the near future?
I don't know there. I don't know because you know what? I'm primarily an actor.
Yeah.
And I've been very lucky and fortunate of late to have got some really interesting acting projects. So I mean, Dolly Kitty or Chamakti Sitare or Gili Puchi and Ajib Dastan. I've just completed a film with my mother, Aparna Sen, which is a very hard-hitting film about a rape, and it's going to go to the Busan Film Festival next month. So I've been quite busy. I'm also trying to write, but I think direction is very time-consuming. I also have a son who's 10, so my life is quite full.
Yeah.
I think that if I really am dying to tell a story, then I will, but I'm in no hurry.
Okay. And finally, when you look back now at your filmography, as you're saying, there's a lot more coming from your stable, so we look forward to that. But what do you believe, which project or which film for you was the game changer? I'm asking this question to a lot of interviewees these days. There's of course this award that's given after every IPL match these days called the game changer of the match. Who was the player who changed the game for their team? For you, in your filmography, is there one or two projects that you believe was a game changer for you, and which were those?
I think there have been a few. Because also I've been acting for 20 years.
Yes.
There have been a few. Of late, I would say that it's Gili Puchi in Ajib Dastan because I just got a lot of love for it and I really have the director Neeraj Givan and the writer Sumit Saxena to thank because, playing somebody who's from the LGBTQ community, somebody who does, come from an oppressed caste.
Yes.
That was a very interesting role for me to play. I brought out my inner man, I like to think. I think Wake Up Sid was a game changer for me because I think a lot of people, that film was so well loved and a lot of people really know me for that work. Page 3 was very early on because that was, again, a very popular film.
Yeah.
The films which have been closest to me, though, I think are films which not a lot of people have seen, sadly.
Okay.
Like 15 Park Avenue, for me, was a game changer personally, but I don't know that many people have seen it.
Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. Iyer too, because it really brought me some recognition on a national kind of a level.
Yeah.
So I guess these, in my opinion.
Great. Thank you very much once again for joining us. All the very best for Mumbai Diaries 2611, and here's to the next 20 years for you as well.
Thank you.
All of us. Thank you.
Thanks, Uday. Bye-bye.
And our next guest for the day is Director and Chief Marketing Officer of Jindal Mechno Bricks, Lakshay Jindal. Carrying the family legacy and being the third generation in business, he's the success behind JMB today. Listen in.
Focused on making aesthetic and sturdy bricks,
we have a plant, a highly advanced plant in Delhi NCR now.
he is behind the success of JMB.
I have utmost belief in my team and the thing that I do, which is how I am doing what I am doing.
Newsx India A-List proudly recognizes Lakshay Jindal for excellence in business entrepreneurship.
Hello and welcome. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. You're joining us on this special interview as part of our Newsx A-List series. We're in conversation today with Lakshay Jindal. Lakshay is Director and CMO, Jindal Mechno Bricks. Welcome to the show, Lakshay. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me tonight.
Well, let me begin by just talking to you a bit about Jindal Bricks. Tell us about the company and what your role is.
So Uday, I oversee marketing and awareness campaigns run by the company. And I also help set up distributorships across the country for Jindal Mechno Bricks. Jindal Mechno Bricks, or more popularly Jindal Bricks, is a machine-made brick and tile manufacturing company. We started in 1972, in fact, with handmade brick manufacturing. And 1996, we shifted to machine-made brick and tile manufacturing. We have a plant, a highly advanced plant in Delhi NCR now, and we are currently one of the largest manufacturer of machine-made brick and tile, with a production capacity of over 200 tons per day.
Okay, fantastic. And what's the strength of the company according to you?
Strengths, in fact, I'm glad you asked this question, Uday. So as I mentioned, we have a state-of-the-art facility at Jindal Bricks with the machines imported from various parts of Europe, Italy, Spain, and Germany. And what it does is we are able to run production 24/7 and 365 days of the year, unlike our counterparts. Another very important thing that we boast about at Jindal Bricks is our ability to innovate. Throughout past few decades, in fact, we have been launching new product categories under Jindal Bricks. We have increased the variety of products on offer under each category and improved the product itself. Also, we don't stop there. We welcome customization requests from manufacturers of other materials, designers, architects, real estate developers. And so all in all, we are trying to adapt to new trends and advance ourselves technologically.
Okay. And just tell us a bit also about, the cost saving aspect of the bricks as well, that you produce, and of course, related products.
Yeah. In fact, Uday, to answer this question, let me just show you the brick here.
Okay.
Wow. So what I'm trying to say is, it's not an ordinary brick by any means or standards. In fact, it's an ultra-light brick with double the compressive strength than an ordinary brick. So buyers get a direct 10% saving in steel and concrete. Mm-hmm. On top of that, these are face bricks. These are not supposed to be painted or plastered. This means you save both your time and money by not using these material, and again, the recurring maintenance cost that comes along with it. One of the main features of our products, in fact, all the product categories that we have is brick, tile, roof tile, pavers, is the colors that are on offer. We offer multiple colors in it and all natural, no chemicals or pigments added. So the products are completely eco-friendly. In fact, these colors are achieved by mixing various clays procured from different parts of the country and exposing them to the right temperature.
Okay.
Also, another thing that I forgot to mention is the thermal and sound insulation that it has. Okay. So our products are engineered to have excellent thermal and sound insulation, which means buyers get lower air conditioning bills in summer and lower heating bills in the winters.
Okay.
So all in all, I mean, at Jindal Bricks, we are able to deliver a highly durable product with zero maintenance, that is saving you money until the building lasts.
Okay. I have to ask you then, I'm sure you'll get a lot more clients and customers, through this interview as well. But what can a customer expect from your product? What should he expect?
Buyers should definitely expect the highest level of quality and consistency in our products. Time and again, people have used our products to get that spiritual feel into their home. One of the major aspect of using brick and related products is the timeless beauty. Being in this industry for so many years now, I think it's important to note there are a lot of products that come and go out of fashion. They come in trends and then go out of fashion, but not this. We still go to European cities and admire their architecture, primarily made of bricks. So that's another aspect. And On this, also, I would like to thank a lot of architects and designers who have very innovatively used our products in the past few years. And many of the buildings have using our products have appeared in or featured in prominent magazines like AD, Design, Elle Decor. So buyers can definitely expect that wow factor in their space.
Okay. Well, we've spoken a lot about about what you manufacture and of course the USP of the company. But now I have to ask you about the vision. What's the vision, Lakshay, of the company?
Uday, I think after serving so many clients like Ashoka University, Umrao, and then 32nd Milestone, many prominent architects like Veer Mueller Architects, Perkins Eastman, and lakhs of customers, I think our vision is clear. We want to be setting the benchmarks here in the industry, and we want to continue to manufacture products that help real estate developers, designers, architects, hoteliers, build beautiful, sustainable places in both faster and cheaper. Another role that we want to play in through Jindal Bricks is in sustainable development, sustainable development agenda of the government. As you maybe everyone's aware about how the climate change is happening, and so we want to play our part. And we have partnered with renowned scientific labs to help us increase our ability to use waste and also recycle old bricks into new ones.
Okay, great. Well, we've pretty much run out of time, but I think the last question I'd like to ask you is a personal one for you. What's your success mantra? What's your mantra for success? I'm sure there are many people watching today who'd like to know that. So what's your, success mantra?
Uday, I think it's just diligence and believing in the product and the company, in the team. I think that is what will take any entrepreneur further. I have utmost belief in my team and the thing that I do, which is how I am doing what I am doing.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Lakshay Jindal, for joining us once again on NewsX A-List, and wishing you and, of course, the entire team behind Jindal Bricks all the very best.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
And our final guest for the day is promising young star Seher Mamba. She is currently gearing up for the show Those Pricey Thakur Girls, where she will be playing the lead role. Listen in.
Known as the promising young star,
there was a lot of buzz around the show, and people are loving it and liking me in the show. So I'm just very grateful to everyone.
she's earning acclaim for her performance in The Empire.
Follow their dreams. If this is something that they're really passionate about, I just think you should go all out in wanting to do what you really want to do.
NewsX India A-List proudly recognizes Sahir Bamba for excellence in entertainment.
Hello, welcome. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. You're joining us on this interview as part of our NewsX A-List series. We're in conversation today with actor Seher Bamba. Seher, welcome to NewsX. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let me just begin by talking to you about the response to your recent web series on Disney Plus Hotstar, The Empire, which really has been getting a lot of rave reviews, and it's been trending a lot for all the reasons, of course, mostly right, but also getting a bit trolled. But we'll be talking about that in just a bit. Firstly, Seher, what's the response been like for you? Your role, your portrayal of Malika Hindustan. What have people been saying, and how's the feeling?
It's been overwhelming. I'm waking up to every single day I'm to amazing messages, people appreciating my performance, people loving the show, and it's just a very good feeling, because I think the shooting process took a little longer than usual because of the pandemic. So all of us were like really waiting for the release to happen, and there was a lot of buzz around the show, and people are loving it and liking me in the show. So I'm just very grateful to everyone who's liked me in the show.
Okay, just taking you a bit down into memory lane, how did the show come your way? What was your first response when you were offered this character?
So actually, I was the last person to be cast for on the show, and they pretty much wanted to just start shooting ASAP. So the casting director actually called me. Kavish called me one night, one evening, in fact, and he's like, you have to go meet Nikhil sir tomorrow because he's doing this show, and go test for it. Go see if you like it. And I went and met Nikhil sir, and when he started talking about my character and the show in general, I just knew that I had to do it.
Yeah.
And there were no two ways about it. I was very excited. And also, I've always, I feel like, these opportunities are very rare that you get to play such characters on screen. And it was definitely on my bucket list to do something, in the periodic zone. And that happened with the Empire and, with Maham's character. And I loved her character. And yeah, I was very excited to be a part of the show.
And a very different experience, in terms of just the whole costumes, the makeup, the sets, I'm sure. Is an experience which doesn't happen every day, does it?
Absolutely. I remember the first time when I walked on the set, and I was gobsmacked just looking at the detailing, just looking at the costumes, everything. It was surreal.
Okay. How was it like on sets? You've got a stellar ensemble cast, Kunal Kapoor, Shabana Azmi, Dino Moria, Rahul Dev. How was it like on sets with all of them?
It was amazing. Also, the fact that everybody was so focused. Everybody just wanted to get their Urdu right, their scenes right. So there was a lot of focus and discipline in that sense, and which sort of helped each one of us to perform obviously better. And Kunal and I shared a great working rapport, and Mitakshara and Nikhil sir are absolute geniuses when it comes to directing, and their briefs are so amazing, and it just makes our work a lot easier.
Yeah. Any difference in terms of shooting or working now, because you've experienced both for film and for digital?
I think it's pretty much the same, but this was all the more different because it was a different era altogether. But I think the process and the filmmaking aspect of it, and I think it's pretty much the same.
Okay. Going forward, though, would you be open to doing both? Straddling both the digital genre, because OTT has boomed a lot, but now theaters are opening. So are you open to doing both together, or do you have a preference?
Not a preference as such, but I would definitely want to do more films also. But having said that, I'm never going to say no to a good project just because it's going to be an OTT release. And pandemic has changed so many things. I feel the lines are pretty blurred. And so definitely, I think I would love to maintain a balance between OTT and films.
Okay. Now, as I said earlier, this series was, of course, trending all over. There was, of course, comparisons to Game of Thrones, and it's something that was larger than life, and a lot of people have really liked it. But of course, there was a lot of criticism and a lot of trolling as well, on the Mughals and all of that, which I'm sure you must have read. How did you react to that? Do you believe that's part and parcel of an actor and film people's life, or were you a bit disappointed or hurt by that?
See, I would say that I was kind of mentally prepared, and I think we as a team together were sort of mentally prepared, because I think anytime you venture into the periodic drama era, so there are a lot of opinions around it. But I always believe in looking at the silver lining, and eventually it picked up, and people, like you said, are raving about it, are talking about it. So I think it's just and everybody's entitled to an opinion, but I really feel it's better to just take the positive out of the whole situation and concentrate on that.
Okay. What's next now for you? What's coming up next? What are you excited to work on after this?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
What's coming up next, Seher, for you? What are you excited to work on next after this?
So my next show is with Mr. Habib Faizal and Mr. Tarun Mansakhani. It's an adaptation of a novel called Those Pricey Thakur Girls. And It's again a Hotstar release, and it's going to be out, I think, end of October. Okay,
that's a book which, of course, had also done very well. I remember, in fact, I remember going for that book launch in Delhi by Anuja Chauhan, and I think Sonam Kapoor had launched it in Delhi, if I'm not mistaken. So have you read the book, and what did you think of it?
I actually didn't read the book, but a lot of people I know, in fact, my own friends and family, they've read the book, and there's so much, I feel there are too many expectations because it's such a lovely character that I feel the expectation higher in that. It was an amazing experience just rating with, Tarun sir, Habib sir, and both of them brought their different visions together, and they both are uniquely different, and it's again set in the 80s. It's a different era. So it was great fun.
And before we end, I have to ask you, a couple of questions since these are your first couple of projects. So just about, when did you get dreams in your eyes that you wanted to be an actor? You wanted to get into the industry. Do you remember the age, the moment when it happened?
I think it's very weird because firstly, I come from a non-filmy background, and nobody in my family or even in my distant relatives, or friends, family, nobody is a part of the industry in that sense. Yeah. And coming from Shimla, I don't know, but it was just something that I always wanted to do. And even as a child, I feel like kids go through their phases where they think they want to become this, that. As a child, I was very clear that this is what I wanted to be. And strangely, I never had a plan B. Which in retrospect, sometimes I feel like, oh my God, how could, someone not have, because I feel it's not that easy, getting a debut that way. But I remember that as a child, going to a theater used to be an event, and the feeling that you would be left behind with when you used to walk out of the theater after having watched a good performance on screen is something that really inspired me to become an actor. And that's when I think my family was always aware of it. They were always supportive of it. And that's when I made a decision to come to Mumbai in the year 2016 and simultaneously do my college and crack my auditions and do all of that.
Okay, great. And finally, one piece of advice you'd like to give to other budding actors who also want to join the industry, come from Himachal and other small towns across India, what would you tell them?
I would just tell them to just follow their dreams. If this is something that they're really passionate about, I just feel you should go all out in wanting to do what you really want to do. And I feel as actors, as aspiring actors, for anybody out there, I think it's a great time to be a part of this industry because some great roles are being written. A lot of work is being churned out. So definitely.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Seher, once again for joining us on NewsX, and all the very best for your next project as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.